I'm gay! Red Dreaded Entertainment, what's up guys? Aka-san here. Sorry, DC Sun and I were actually preparing our summer vacation, and we were looking at I know that, like I got nervous anyways.
What's up, Super Crew?
We were planning our upcoming summer vacation with bikini tops. We were looking at Wonder Woman bikinis for Cali. That's no secret, of course. Yeah. So if you guys want to send it my way to my P.O. box, we will guarantee make sure Cali wears it. We already have our swimsuits. We're good to go. Of course, Batman,
Superman,
Wonder Woman for Cali. So
see?
we're getting it all together.
Oh yeah.
Bikini style. That actually does sound like a variant. Anyways, sorry. DC side aside. Let's get into the CW. Supergirl.
Yes.
Very respectable show. Enjoyed it a lot. Season 2 is over now.
Yeah.
And you know, the one thing I want to say is because the one thing I've noticed, like I was gonna read comments from Supergirl here, my season finale reaction, but actually I realized a lot of people just don't watch Supergirl. In my world, my demographic, generally haven't really given this season a bigger chance, as I feel it should have gotten after the crossover.
Yeah, it did well. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the new characters, the side characters, the side storylines. I think they did a really good job of showcasing who they need to showcase, showing the side stories as they were, and moving on.
Right.
And they didn't linger like I felt happened with some other shows this season, and not just CW-wise, but just in general. Some shows just kind of dragged on.
Right. Now you watched every episode, right?
Yes.
So, because personally I did not. I kind of jumped around and when and that was more or less, I think for me it's just because generally speaking, regardless if it was Superman, Supergirl, any major power type situation, for me the trait gets a little old because I don't have that same human investment I feel, because I always feel like nobody will really die in the world of nobody important will ever die. Like I don't feel like for example, even with the Flash, I always feel like somebody could get really messed up enough, but with Supergirl, from what I have seen, most of the time people just at best get comatose for a little while or go disappearing or something. John, Martian Manhunter, he's always getting knocked out but never fully out of commission sometimes. And our Megan, same situation like that. People just kind of go to sleep for a while in the episode, so I never feel like there's really anything that life-threatening and such.
Well, there have been some really life-threatening situations and characters that have come up, which is something I actually liked specifically because of what you just mentioned. Dealing with Kryptonians or any superpowered being, metahuman or otherwise, at their power level, it is hard to write characters that can be threatening enough to where you feel for that actor or that character, excuse me, and their co-stars. Because one of the things I like about Supergirl is the balance between her and her co-stars. Because it's almost like a step ladder in a way, where you'll have, if we put Supergirl here, then it gets to their skill set. So you've got her and Martian Manhunter, which are going back and forth, but then from there it goes down to some of these side characters like her sister. She may not be a metahuman, but man, she is good in a fight, and she's kind of like their tech. She's like the Diggle for the show.
Okay, the one problem I will have sometimes with, because I thought they handled her this season, I thought they handled her really well in her coming out situation. Sometimes I felt it was just like the thing with, speaking of tech, Mr. Terrific, the whole thing about her being gay tend to sometimes be pushed a little too much. Hard. And I was just like, okay, look, I get it, but try not to it was this weird situation because it's like you don't want to offend, it's a new sort of, I guess with Supergirl for me, it was a new element that I was dealing with where there was a lot of kind of role reversals in both sexuality and with gender situations.
Okay.
Even with the way Supergirl ended, you saw Mon-El flying away crying, goodbye, and like, it's like, it was kind of funny to see it that way, but at the same time, oh, this is kind of cool, but at the same time I was like, I'm not used to this sort of deal of like Supergirl's like, she's crying, but it's Mon-El was in some form or fashion the damsel being sent away like that.
True, and, but I like that they did that with her because I felt by doing that they didn't discredit her and make her seem weak, emotionally. Like, of course she's hurting, but she's like, okay, what do I do now? There are still people that need my help. Let me do what I can while we figure something out.
Well, it was a very interesting concept. I mean, I've never cried as much as I did as this season. Maybe the Arrow episode, 100th episode, but when Alex came out and she was rejected by that girl, and I was like, God, that shit is realistic as fuck. This isn't like a happy ending of like, I'm gay, hooray type of deal. It was just like, I'm gay. Wait, you don't like me like that? Oh shit! I just like put everything on the line.
Put everything on the line. That shit got crushed.
That was rough, man. Great episode, but I just felt like then they started using it a little too much as the ratings plot device type of deal. Like, oh, does she like me? Doesn't she like me? Oh, move in together like that. And I was just like, okay. But at the same time, I wake myself up and be like, well, let's put it another way, Aka-san. If this was a hetero relationship,
it'd be the same.
It'd be the same sort of deal that we have seen so much on other shows, maybe like Flash, when Iris and Barry were dealing with moving in with each other just because they're gay. So some of those things we have to sort of wake up to and be like, okay, well, it's a new day and age, and if it's not for me, it's not for me, but I can't hate the show from that. Do you feel that Supergirl has improved a lot this season? Oh, definitely.
From season 1, which I enjoyed, but season 1 did feel somewhat out of the DC CW universe. It felt like the campy TV show compared to the rest of them. But now I feel like it's more balanced. The characters are more into their own. The story is more into their own. And it's not so much of, hey, I'm this character and I need to figure out what I'm doing because I don't know my place on the show. They don't do that anymore. It's more of, hey, this is my character. I need to figure out what I can do to progress the story. And I like that because the characters feel more developed. And now Legends feels like the kind of light, campy show. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Because they're all the same tone, it may not be interesting. So it being the more lighthearted version in the entire DC CW universe, I like that because it gives a nice counterbalance to, well, realistically, looking at what happened on both Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl, were really dark tones, really sad things. Well, some sad stuff happened on Legends also.
Well, here's what I agree with him in this sense that I feel the thing I like about Supergirl is when I watch Supergirl, it completely reminds me of all the old action comics I used to read that revolved around Superman. Like, it was very bright. Guardian was around. This was pre-Doomsday, or even I think pre-Doomsday. Guardian was around. Guy Gardner was around. Like, he has this crew, but Superman was around, and Lois was doing his thing, her thing, or whatever. But I always felt like Supergirl was like, damn, this really is so nostalgic to the comic arcs I used to watch. And while Arrow and Flash tend to be more New 52,
New 52 and alternative.
Rebirth. Yeah, darker type of stories. Supergirl still has that very, I believe we call it Bronze Age style of writing and everything.
And I like that outside of me being a fan of Kryptonians, their stories or whatever, I like that someone close to me who usually isn't into that is enjoying it in that way, and they see something lighter.
This was it was very simple.
The way that you are. It's nice.
I didn't ever feel somebody's life was threatened or whatever, but it was kind of a cool show to kick back and watch. Okay, Lex Luthor. The only thing I do have a problem.
There have been some really life-threatening episodes, which I thought were cool.
Well, the only thing I really didn't like so much sometimes was the fact that, and this is more or less, it's like, I'm not a big fan of copy, clone-ish stories. Okay, cool. So we have female Superman, we have female Lex Luthor, and I know they exist in the comics, but I also feel like that's one of the reasons I don't read the Supergirl comics, because it's just clones of
to some extent, some of the characters
Doomsday will be introduced next season, probably Reign. Yeah, so it's kind of like,
but some of it is, but some of it isn't. They're also told very differently. I do understand what you mean by having some copycat type characters, but in the opposite direction, take a little girl who's never ridden.
I agree.
I agree. Superman,
so that's why I feel like
Supergirl. Right. So she'll resonate with that the same way you do with Superman. But I understand what you mean.
So that's why I feel like when I watch the show, maybe I don't like it, but I also feel like I'm probably not the target audience for Supergirl. Like, to be like, yeah, like, you know. And if I had a daughter or whatever, like, if that's what they were interested in, then I'd be like, cool, there's something like a gateway to get them into something. Right. I wouldn't fuck, I'd be showing them Arrow for.
Yeah. Like, I will say, but you know, dealing with human trafficking and things of that nature on Supergirl was really dark. But one of the things I liked about this season, to backtrack on your earlier question, is how they dealt with acceptance. And when I mean not just with, with gay and heterosexual, but also with different types of backgrounds and cultures. They use the alien persona from people from different worlds to deal with, you know, race and creed and things of that nature, but the way they did it, I thought was really interesting.
I thought it was handled fairly well, and the idea with because I noticed this season seemed to focus very heavily on Daxamites a lot, and
I thought that was cool.
It was handled well enough.
Yeah, I thought it was handled very well, because you're dealing with acceptance of two different races. They have similar views, underlying views, given their hierarchy doesn't see things the same way, but they're very, very similar. But yet they're hating on each other because of some silly thing that happened long before the people we're watching.
So well, the overall theme of Arrow was about the past coming back to haunt. Flash's was about doing things for the future and changing the good of the future, and Pendants now. Pendants, what was Kara's main thing?
I think for Kara, the season started off with her trying to accept who she was and where she needed to be to be happy. And for her to be happy didn't have to include a love interest. Having a love interest and acceptance was a bonus, but her being and coming into her own, I think, was the main focus for the season. Her being able to find that balance between friend, family, workplace, love interest was the extra layers that added on to that.
I found some comments, like I was saying about my audience, like generally speaking, most of them don't watch Supergirl, so a lot of them actually were asking me, is this show any good, basically?
Yeah,
so
it is.
I was taking a stand, changing the world by reacting to it.
I will say that one thing that people did complain about right before you read it, because I don't know if someone said anything, they didn't like the fact that Supergirl in the show somewhat overpowered Superman during their fight.
So I was about to mention that.
I am so happy that that happened. Now, for those who will be angry with my statement, to clarify, I like that happened because the show is called Supergirl, not Superman. And if he overpowered her, given, yes, it can happen, and I'm okay with either way, then the entire story would have made sense. She needed to be able to figure things out, defeat the main boss on her own so she could grow into her own. And I think they handled that well.
Okay, so Salve John A says Superman definitely held back. He just wants a vacation. LOL.
Well, and I can understand, and that's fine. That in the opposite direction. Think about it. Superman doesn't want to be beating on someone.
Well, here's another thing. Like Rotz made a good example. Rotz 112 said, "Gonna start a petition to stop WB and all related branches from shitting on Superman. Tired of this." Like, I
understand what he means, but in the opposite
if you look at
direction,
Justice League, the animated series, a lot of different incognations of Superman is getting either changed a lot or like he just kind of gets pushed on like a lot.
Well, I like him. I like how they are actually showing him using his other power sets in Justice League Action. Now, I will say that there are a lot of people that don't like how they portrayed Superman in the original Justice League TV series.
Right.
But they take him out, and but they take the character out so the other characters have a chance.
And I think
not that I don't understand,
yeah, right.
But I think it could be done a different way because I'm like him. What's up, man? Seriously?
Well, but I also feel like sometimes the answer for that is, for better or worse, Zack Snyder's Superman, Man of Steel. You get to see the Superman that many people complain that they never get to see. Like, this is the Unchained, so to speak, and such. Another comment that was sent here is from Hakudan 2. Wow, I haven't watched Supergirl, but just seeing the scenes from your reaction, I already can say I enjoyed it a lot. So I think that's exactly the issue, is to just give it a shot. Give it a try. If it pops up on Netflix or whatever. Like, to me, I think the actress and the character of Supergirl, very beautiful, easy on the eyes. And just as a man, just as a full-blooded man, cold-blooded at times, just watching, it's just pleasant. Like, it's cool to see her fighting and like the nice skirt.
She does pull off the soft, light expressions, as well as a, hey, I mean business, get this done, get out of my way, or whatever she needs to do at that time. She has range, and I personally like watching her on screen because I think she works well with her cast members.
I would like to see her mix it up a little bit more with the rest of the CW universe next crossover. I hope
would be
I hope there's
awesome.
a real crossover next time where she's really around, but I know it's hard to balance those things. Well, wrapping up, what would you like to see for season 3?
Oh, exactly what you just mentioned. A massive crossover.
Okay.
I am one of those people where I enjoyed that 4-show crossover. If they want to do a 5-show crossover, that's great. I know they said they're not going to do it anytime soon, but having those 4 shows crossover with one storyline was really, really interesting because it made me more excited to watch the other show to continue the story. Just like, you know, when you go and collect comic books and they do those crossovers. It was good. I want to see Supergirl interact with Arrow.
A little bit more.
I'd like to see her interact with Arrow, and it doesn't have to be anything where she has to use her powers. But those actors interacting with each other was actually quite interesting.
The Trinity, that Trinity of them worked really well, and I would like to see. Like, I saw jokes when Iris died. I saw memes going around of saying like, Kara was like, "Just remember, Barry, all you have to do is kill Iris, and we can finally be together." Like.
That's pretty messed up.
Like, it's kind of funny. There's some funny points there.
Do you think Barry would be able to visit now that he's in the Speed Force?
Maybe. I don't know where. I don't really know how can he make Kara help him with some conjugal visits? It doesn't matter if you're in the Speed Force.
Heroes, that'd be kind of cool.
It doesn't count if you're in the Speed Force, right?
What happens in the Speed Force
stays in the Speed Force. There you go, right? Alright guys, Red Red Nation, stand up, speak up, let us know what you guys think about this and more. Make sure you check out DC Sun's channel as well, as he should have one of his reactions up fairly soon.
I'm unfortunately well behind with anywhere between 6 to 10 videos that are backlogged that will be out hopefully by the time Wonder Woman comes out, which I will be doing a review for because I will see it real time because I am a super fan of Wonder Woman, and I'm excited to see the movie.
Super fan.
Yeah.
And of course, Patreon as well. Make sure you check out my Patreon channel.
And if you check out his Patreon, you also get early access,
stuff like this, posters, all that other shit. Okay?
Yes.
Hey, guys, keep it. Oh, no, that's your line.
Keep it super. Red Nation.
Girl, we love you. I don't know what that was. Yeah. We're out. Peace.
Girl, we love you.
No, because you're like, keep it super. Girl, we love you, like that.